power behind this was with this simple patch right here, X39, which is what changed everything about our lives. So I'm a mom of a child with special needs. 8 years ago, my life flipped upside down when I noticed that my son stopped speaking. My son stopped interacting with other people. My son stopped responding to his name. His motor challenges became quite challenged. He also had, there were so many other things. I bring up the most, there was a lot of things that went downhill once my son started to lose these abilities. And we did traditional methods for the first 2.5 years after his diagnosis, but we stayed consistent, and I decided, let's give it a shot. After a few years of trying the traditional things, I decided to take things into my own hands, and I immediately looked into different options for my son, and I dove into holistic ways of helping my son. Some of the things that we did were, we went to go see some of the best biomedical doctors in the United States. We went for stem cell injections. We traveled internationally for them. We tried the hyperbaric chamber, and I tried anything holistic, all homeopathy. And we did see very small gains with everything that we did, but nothing enough. The only thing that really convinced me was stem cell injections, and the stem cell injections where I became a real big stem cell advocate. But in order to do that, you're paying $10,000 to $20,000 for one treatment, and one treatment a year is just bare minimum. They suggest at least twice a year traveling to get these stem cell injections. Now, I know as a mom, when there's a will, there's a way. But by the grace of God, we got very lucky, and we got a phone call from a dear friend who had no idea what we were going through, who did not know of actually our son's diagnosis, and asked me if I was interested in learning more about this patch. And when he said the word stem cells, I immediately became intrigued, and I said, well, you could see how I fell in love with stem cells, and I fell in love with stem cells, and I fell in love with the power of the healing behind stem cells. So I said, you know what, babe, the worst thing that we can do right now is nothing. This is the most holistic thing that we'll ever do for our child. So I said, send it over. The next day at my front door, there was a delivery, and it was the patches. We got the patches on my son that night. I wore them throughout that day just to make sure I felt okay. I felt great. I actually felt wonderful, great energy. Everything, it just felt like this joy. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe one will say it's a placebo. I say the patch was doing magic on me as well. Put the patch on my son and we watched very closely. And within 1 week's time, we were sitting in the backyard. It was the summer. My son loves to be on the swing, but the problem is he cannot swing on his own. So I have to stand behind him for hours, swinging him and swinging him and swinging him. And I would always say, I wonder what it would take for him to swing on his own. That patch gave him the ability to swing on his own. That patch gave him the ability to learn how to ride a bike, something that he was never able to achieve. That patch has also been able to give him the ability to ride a scooter. Now, what was hard is my son can walk, he can jump, he can do those motor challenges, but anything that involves the brain, body, the coordination that, the brain says we have, to swing is not just, for us, it's just a swing, but he's got to execute that movement. That's a brain-body connect. And I think there was a big brain-body disconnect. And when we put that patch on, a big word that I've been hearing all week is they feel balanced. They feel balanced with this patch. I believe with my whole heart that that patch has been able to help balance my son. And, you know, these were the first things that we saw. I go into, you know, I was just telling Jackie and someone else here, we just today we went sledding. There's a lot, 10 inches of snow here in New Jersey, and we went sledding. And just to dress a neurotypical child, um, you know, it's difficult. The gloves, the hat, the ski suit, the pants, the boots, that's difficult. Now, do it with a child who's got some challenges. And today I was able to put the gloves, put his gloves on, and he was able to put each finger in its designated area, you know, in the designated section for the finger, right? Getting his shoes on was easy. He was up and down with the sled all by himself. This is not things that my son was ever able to do. And another thing that's been very big is he's now starting to put together small words. He's 10 years old, friends. And my biggest wish in life was for my son to be able to speak to me. I think the hardest thing as a mother is not being able to know your son's true feelings, thoughts, needs. The scariest thing is to let your son go with a stranger to school, on the bus, not knowing what could have happened to him. Were people nice to him? Did they treat him well? So the fact that he's got these little words coming on gives me so much hope, and I know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm excited to share with you all.